Holy crap, guys. How's it going? Welcome to the first ever KTM Champion Series, I think is what I call this. I don't know. I just kind of made it completely random. I have no idea what it's called, actually. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday, I think is today. Guys, real quick disclaimer before we even get started. April got a little puppy. Got a little baby puppy. Little baby Nova. She's this big. However, the problem is she likes to whine a lot. So if you just hear some random whining, it's either David or the puppy. So just want to let you guys know I can't do anything about either. So I just want to really quickly say I'm sorry. I apologize. I promise that hopefully after David kind of settles down and realizes Daehan's better than him, he'll simmer down and we'll stop whining. So guys, what we're going to do here, we're going to get started here pretty quickly. What we're going to do is we're just going to go over essentially the whole point of the series is to kind of give the champions a chance to talk and talk a little bit about their decks, a little bit about the events they played in. I do want to apologize really quick. We were supposed to do this last week. However, I was ill. I came down with the consumption yet again. But don't worry, I passed. I handed it off to April. So now she's sick and dying in the other room, and I'm good. So we'll be able to continue today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with David on the top left here. Let him talk a little bit about who he is, the event he played at, and then do the same thing for Daehan. And then we'll get into each of their decks. And then after that, we'll move into set 6 cards, what cards we're excited about. And spoiler alert, I have not finished those overlays, so as they're talking, I will be typing away and trying to finish those and make them look good. So, all right, guys. All right, David, take it away. Guys, thank you again all so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it, and thank you so much for waiting. I know we're a little bit busy, a little bit late, but that's kind of par for the course. So, David, go ahead and have a good time. That would be because I forgot to unmute these freaking nerds from your guys' side. Actually, no, I didn't forget. I actually did not forget to do that. So it's because my desktop audio is set for not headphones, I bet. So that's okay. We're going to fix that really quickly. And can they hear you now? Can you talk?
Hello?
Yeah, they can hear you now. All right, my bad. That's my bad. Also,
gone.
Yeah, it's way to go, David. This is why I should have started with Daehan. I knew I should have. This is my fault. Also, my chat bar is not updating, but it is in the pop-out. So, guys, I'm so sorry I have not been saying hello. I thought no one was talking. So, thank you so much. We got him fixed. Everyone's fixed. We'll get back to let David. Actually, you know what, Daehan, you go. You know what? Screw David. I'm actually he messed that whole.
David, he had the whole thing.
No, he messed the whole thing up. We're gonna switch to Daehan.
Oh,
so,
man.
Daehan, you do it.
All right.
It's always
Fine. I mean, the East Coast gotta go first, anyways. Be the better ones, but
blame the West Coast.
all right, as y'all know, I'm Daehan Hardesty, or other known as the Janemba player. As y'all saw from the discussion group, my friend cropped my picture onto that, so please don't make that a Matt. I don't want to be like Marcel and Peter. Just from G Sports Entertainment, Jacksonville, Florida. Play every card game, also like David does, but y'all didn't hear that part. I don't know what else. See, David was more prepared than me.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm sorry. That was a mistake.
I'm so sorry.
I messed up. I'm so sorry, guys. Also, guys, everyone on YouTube, hello. How are you guys doing? Facebook, sorry I couldn't have you guys up, or it crashes my computer. So, just talk on either Facebook or Twitch. I can see you. Otherwise, I can't. Team Beerus Fish says, oh my God, I haven't been to one of these KTM live chats since Storm was still alive. Absolutely. I apologize for the lack of content, guys, but I've been working really hard with George and the Pro Play Tour, making sure the celebration event is going to be insane. So shameless plug, please come to Orlando, guys. Make the hard work worth it. We have all kinds of crazy stuff planned for you guys. It's going to be a blast. I know both these guys are going to be here, so that's going to be a great chance for you guys to go and lose to these guys who are just absolutely amazing. So sorry for lag content, but it'll be picking up after celebrations. So I got celebrations and then Gamma, and then after that I'll be back and be back to making content. So all right, got everything fixed with the audio. Thank you guys again for doing that. Daehan's name sounds like he's from an anime. Absolutely, Daehan. The
what?
Wanderer.
It's Korean, man.
Percival, At KitchenTableMeta, make sure set 6 isn't legal. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Only thing I know that is if set 6 is legal, it would be out of my or PPG's hands. So that's all I can say, is that it's important to realize that for these celebration events, they are Bandai events, right? So that's all I can say. Like obviously, George has to do what makes them the happiest or what they want to do, since they are the one actually paying for the events. While this is a Pro Play Tour stop for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Card Vanguard, it is a Bandai event for Dragon Ball. So okay, David, go ahead and do your worst, buddy. Tell them you are. That's true. He can't do worse than that.
All right, I'm David Fujimura, Seoul West Coast representative for KitchenTableMeta. Currently, we're working on some future works.
And by working on, he means we already have them, and we'll be announcing that either this week or next week.
I didn't want to say too much,
Spoiler.
That's all.
Don't lie to the people, dude. Just be honest with them. What the heck? I mean, what a weirdo.
All right. So Seoul representative KTM currently. Play all sorts of card games. We're playing Dragon Ball Super now. Best card game community so far. Just recently came off of the ARG Vegas first place. So that was awesome. Other than that, I'm a big giant scrub because I couldn't top anything.
Yeah, all right, guys, you heard it here first. He's a scrub. So thank you, David. Appreciate having you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Now, guys, we'll just only have Daehan and the rest of the show. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is talk a little bit about your guys' events that you guys were at. Obviously, David, like you said, you were at the ARG event in insanely beautiful Las Vegas, and then Daehan, you were with me, buddy, at the PPG event, which actually was a little bit colder than I expected. At Georgia, I actually had shorts on, dude. I was so excited because it's like 10 here, so I was like, "Oh man, it's gonna be awesome in Georgia." It was actually pretty cold. Daehan, I'll let you kind of start off first and talk a little bit about your events, what deck you played is the important one, and also a little bit about your matchups.
So I played in the Atlanta PPG event. It was cold up there. That was a rough tournament for me. Even though I may have won, I did not feel confident with my Janemba deck. Even though there was only 8 Janembas represented as a whole in the entire tournament, just all Broly, Shenron, and Baby Vegeta. I played against a metric ton of Broly and a few rogue decks. I ended up going 7-1 in Swiss. My only loss was to Jonathan Rodriguez with his Harudegarn deck, which him and Andrew Duvall specifically built to beat Janemba. So he kind of curb stomped me in game 3 of that. But I think against every Broly deck, except for like 2, I 2-0'd miraculously. Even though I personally felt my Janemba deck was not prepared for that match. I thought it was going to be a little bit slower, impactful. I didn't really expect there to be that many in Storm, or if anybody would be more prepared for it. Like, my sideboard was prepared for it, my main board was not. Those Shenrons, God, get them out. Take them out, please. I only played them one time on stream against Duvall. Every other time, first card sideboard out, first card I just chunked away because it either died against Baby Vegeta, got bloodlusted by Broly, or in every other deck, it just didn't matter. Yeah.
So what was the purpose of the Shenron? Like, why did you have it in the deck? What was your, what did you think it was going to do that it didn't do?
I was expecting more of the original Mono Blue control to pop up. Obviously, it was designed to put in for that matchup, or against a couple of Shenron decks. If it just sticks, if I am on the play and it sticks, I can get more advantage since they don't remove them early. It's mainly that for any other rogue / grind deck. But I didn't really play against any of those. So those were like the first things out every time. And most of my games I didn't even win through milling. I just straight up just did damage. The original mono milling was obviously slower in too many of the matches. The only time I could really consistently mill person was against like Baby. That was the main one. Sometimes I would get one against Broly here and there, but Baby was like the main deck I could mill out. Everybody else I had to just kill with damage.
Okay, guys, real quick. I actually forgot to say this. Guys, if you have any questions for either of these guys, no matter who is talking, just go at KitchenTableMeta in chat, and then I'll ask them the questions as soon as I see them. Again, remember that's like kind of the whole point of this is for you guys to be able to interact with the champions, let them kind of talk about their decks, and that way you guys can ask some questions. We do have a question already, which is what reminded me to say that. We have Griff 1040 PSN from YouTube says, "What was your worst matchup, Daehan, through the whole week?"
My worst matchup was probably the just the mono blue Hurrigan that Andrew Duvall and Jonathan Rodriguez designed. Their deck attacking my hand while trying to beat me up. That it was a really rough time for me during that. And then since I couldn't mill them out quick enough, and just Hurrigan naturally having a lot of combo power with like Hoys and Fan of Flame cannons, I couldn't necessarily shotgun a guaranteed killing where I could do against Broly and such, where they just have a bunch of 5Ks. My 10Ks don't overpower Hurrigan as much as the other decks. So that one, I had to attempt to play the stall game against them, and their stall game is pretty much just as good as mine, and their tempo game is just as good as mine, or the deck that I brought there. I only won't beat Duval due to me like milling like a god. I hit his Demigra pieces. So he couldn't keep chaining them at turn after turn.
That deck was actually pretty sick. That Demigra deck was actually pretty cool.
No,
yeah,
that was sweet.
Well, I guess it's her Rudigon deck, but you know what I mean. Like it uses the Demigra power boosters. David, question for you since you're over there. I guess I'll talk to you. What did you think? Like I'm sure you played against Mill at the event, right? Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I played against 3 of them.
Oh, 3 of them. So what was your plan against Mill running your Hirudegarn aggro deck?
So like you were saying, Hirudegarn has a lot of 10Ks, and that was basically like my game plan is just to get an early advantage and just kind of outvalue them as much as I could. Yeah, it was just about like because a lot of the stuff in the deck people tend to not like against Janemba because like Hoys are really hard to use efficiently because it draws 2, so it's like they get an extra leader swing. Minosha and the legs package, I was playing 4/4. That's hard to like keep using because it thins your deck as well. And then I was playing 2 Foos, Scientist Foos, which is draw 2. Those are all things that people associate with like being bad against Janemba because it lessens your clock. But that was actually like my plan was to try to get as much of an advantage early and then just push through it and try to grind them out because the only way for my deck to really realistically beat them is for me to like just grind out their hand and then just go in with like a hit. And that was basically my game plan game 1. And then game 2, I had a sideboard package that came in and helped with closing out game 2.
Absolutely. Also, guys, almost 100 viewers already. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I know it's kind of late. I know there was kind of short notice, so thank you so much for all the love and support for not only me, but these 2 guys up here. Really, really appreciate it. Also, from YouTube, at KitchenTable. No, that's not where it was. I'm sorry. No, it is. It was on Facebook. It says... Dusty, come to Cali. I'd love to meet you, and Cali is the greatest place on earth. Thank you, Team Beerus Fish. Really appreciate that. I actually used to live in California for about a year. I lived in Orange County in a place called Lake Forest when I worked for Cryptozoic, and I actually really liked California.
You lived in David's basement.
I was like, let me out. No, it was really cool. So I mean, I'd love to come back. I know the Pro Play Tour is planning some West Coast events as well, so maybe we'll be there one day. Our goal is to try to find some place that is located in the West Coast, but is far enough away from David where he can't come. So that's the kind of the logistic problem that we're having currently with those. Nick Larson says, at KitchenTableMeta on YouTube, Fuji, what was your mindset going into the tournament?
So my mindset was just to be as comfortable as I could with the deck that I played. That was like the key. I played a lot of blue-yellow Hirudegarn, so I had a lot of reps with that, and blue-red was... It has a similar line of play, but the way I ended up playing it ended up being a lot different. But since I was familiar with the deck and the leader and like the core of the deck, I just wanted to be really comfortable going in. Just prepping for all the major matchups that I knew were going to be there. I knew there was going to be Janemba because It won the last 2 events.
They were all there with you, not me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird because a lot of people were saying that they didn't see a lot of Janimbas, but I played against 3, and I saw quite a bit at the tables. So
there was 8 in mine, and I had to do a mirror match.
Yeah. They were there, but like it wasn't like an overwhelming amount. But yeah, it was, you know, testing, making sure I was comfortable with all the major matchups. Janemba, there was obviously going to be a lot of Broly because Broly was the most hyped leader, especially with like High to Mastery and the new Power Pack Goku.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
that deck is really cool. I mean, the deck is good.
Yeah. No, it is. But I knew I had to know that matchup, so I played it pretty. I played against it a lot. Figured out the game plan to beat it, and it worked out flawlessly. And then a lot of Chain Zeno. There was a lot of Chain Zeno, so I had a lot of practice against that. So those are the big 3s that I was looking for, and then just going into the tournament, just, you know, stay hydrated, eat, snack, and then
that's the big one, dude. Get some sleep. That's the hard one, you know, at least for me when I go to events.
That was tough.
Yeah, it's just sleeping. Yeah,
and just don't go on tilt, because like I lost 1 round because of my own misplay in like round 5, and like it tilted me a lot, but I just like I calmed down, I bounced back, and I just, you know, I won.
Ate that sensu bean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Percival on Twitch says, at KitchenTableMeta, what are the important decisions that make you during the game that make you the best Janemba player in the world? My guess is that this is for David.
Yeah.
No, Dayon. What decisions do you make that make you? You know, obviously, I say this all the time. I said it during the stream. I'll say it here in front of everyone. I think you're the best Janemba player in the world. I think you did a great job. You actually got second in the previous Pro Play Tour stop as well. You know, I think both you and Justin are 2 of the best players. And so, what are the things that you do? Because you're the only Janemba player in Top Cut. You know, what do you do differently? Is it just matchups? Was it a little bit of luck? Do you do something different? Are you just so sexy they just scoop to you? Like, what is it that you do that?
I wish it was the last one. God, it was so much easier. I really wish. But the thing about luck, Janemba, it can be RNG. Sometimes you just have the right pieces. Sometimes you turbo them to the correct pieces. So it's a card game too. There's always luck into it.
Sure.
So you just gotta take that in faction. But the way I've designed my deck for Janemba is to try to make every card replace itself, so I can turbo draw to what I need in matchups. Yeah, that can be kind of bad in the mirror, but you know, you just don't. You have to do it systematically. You have to take into account what your opponent's play is going to do. You have to play this like your control deck in any other card game. That's why it's like when people say Janemba's so easy to play, you're like, no, I have to know what my opponent's doing 3 turns ahead before I even tap this mana to play this Borgos. So you just got to think really ahead about how to officiate your mana, how to be efficient with your combos, know what traits to take, and how to set up your graveyard. Like some people are saying I over comboed, and one of the things, like I over combo so I can set up my sparking for my dimension magic and such, and like my super combo.
Right.
It's like you got to take in all accounts of what could be in their deck after what you mill them. It's the knowledge that you get from that and how to set up your hand for the future turns. And that's mainly it's just, you got to play this like a control game. You have to know what they're going to do ahead of time. And if they don't do what you expect, you know, you play and adjust to it accordingly to the best of your ability from what your hand is and such.
All right. So
not it.
Great answers. We'll go back to YouTube here for a second. Team Beersfish says, at KitchenTableMeta, again, I think talking about Dahan, how do you see Janemba position yourself in the new Broly Pan Baby aggro-ish format?
Not so sure about the Pan aggro. I have to do testing personally against the Broly deck to see how much I can survive, or the hands I have to dig for in the mulligan for to find against it. Maybe I just put a Chompa in there since they're going to put themselves down to like 2 or something, like turn 1 or turn 2, and just see if I can counter shotgun them. Other than that Broly deck might personally be a hard matchup. I might have to go to more Mafubas in my sideboard, even main board, just to help remove the threat and the pressure for the turn and hope they can't reset, or I just build some of the pieces again. I mean, it's a card game. It comes down to luck, what you draw and such. I personally think Janemba should be fine positioned. The deck's it's a well-rounded deck. Like you can get kills through damage. You can do a stall mill plan. The deck's like Jund Magic. It can do like a 50-50 against most.
Sure.
So I was like, I don't think it'll ever be bad, nor will it ever be like too dominant. The deck's not that terribly easy to play.
Okay, so I actually have a question for you, Dehan, and you too, David, if you want to chime on to it. I've always thought that Pan was actually like Pan had a bad matchup against Janemba, just because it draws so many cards. Is that true, Dehan, or is Pan actually have a decent? Is it 50-50? Like, how do you feel that matchup's favored?
So my buddy Gabe, if he ever watches or if he hears about this, he plays like a lot against me since he won't stop playing Pan. But then again, he's like the only person in my local or like I ever see that does well with Pan and keeps innovating the deck.
Sure.
But he can't take a game off me.
Okay.
After a certain point, like he can't play more cards because then he's forced to draw. Pan's not it's mandatory.
Right. Exactly, yeah. And I'll tell you, it's funny because I think maybe in your maybe it was your semifinal game or maybe it was just during Swiss, but I think you played against a Pan deck, and I was like, oh, maybe you didn't play against a Pan deck, or maybe you were going to, or something. I can't remember what happened, but I said on stream, I was like, oh man, if Dehan goes up against his Pan deck, that's Dehan's I think very favored, and chat obliterated me. They're like, what? Like, oh, Pan's like, it destroys Janemba, and I was like, wait a second, like, am I wrong? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say that I've ever played a Pan versus Janemba, right? Like, nobody in my locals plays Pan. I haven't really seen Pan played that much. Who's the West Coast player that plays Pan on Shinrons that like is a really good Pan player?
Tim Palacio.
Yeah, that's the last person I've seen play Pan, and I think it was at like the maybe Nationals or at like maybe one.
It was at Atlantic City.
Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? And that's like, I mean, the only people I see play Pan are like the best Pan players in the world, right? It's like the people that are still playing it. And so that's why I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, those guys make every matchup look easy, right? Because they're just so good off the deck, But I think in a vacuum, I wasn't sure. Next question from YouTube. Team Beerus Fish says, at KitchenTableMeta, this question is for both players. How is the Baby matchup? Was it hard or easy? How do you guys play against Baby? David, I'll let you start off. Was Baby prevalent at the ARG event, or was there not that many people playing it?
There was a few. There obviously wasn't as much as East Coast.
Okay.
I think it was a combination of the accessibility of the promos on the West. A lot of places opted out to run the event, so there wasn't a crazy amount of them, but there was enough to see them around. The Baby matchup for me isn't like. It gets tricky because you obviously have to play around the auto, like when it comes into play. But it wasn't really that hard for me because I had a lot of things that I could do to bypass the auto. So it was just all about planning, figuring out your sequences, and also Mafuba was really good in that matchup. Okay,
sick. Dehan, how did you? I know you had to play against a bunch of them. How was the Baby Vegeta matchup?
That was my favorite one.
Ooh.
I don't think that deck's necessarily favored, even if they run Chain Zeno. That's not really a Chain Zeno based deck like Pan is, so they don't plus as hard off of it. But Chain Zeno doesn't wreck Janemba or whatever, and they're not gonna play Chain Zeno if they have a Baby. But the thing is, I have mainboard answers besides Mafuba to answer the Baby, and once I answer the Baby, it's just a lot of pressure is taken off of me, and I can just begin to restabilize and pick off their one or two creatures a turn. Since their deck is all based around Baby, they don't have too many more efficient creatures to play after I get rid of it, unless they can immediately reassemble it. So it's play the 3-drop Child Discharge Janemba, auto trigger, doesn't kill it. Then I would awaken or have some way to untap a mana and then get Demon Sword and warp it. And then we're back to square one of empty board state, me having a huge hand size.
No, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to keep going through here some of these here. Let's see. Benair Hungry says, at KitchenTableMeta for Dehan, what did you do to all your Saki demons after the tournament?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, if we were talking about the last few games, they're in the trash can.
Yeah, you whiff every time you use them. I thought it was
I think I resolved one. Yeah, I have a new Janemba build that doesn't play him anymore, and it's been more consistent without it. Having the early Psyche Demon isn't as important now. It's not as needed for this new meta that's coming up because due to him, I think it's a barrier. it's not worth it.
Okay.
It's just get rid of them. Or actually put them in your sideboard. They're good in the mirror match still. Really good in the mirror match.
Okay. Danny Hype says, at KitchenTableMeta, did you guys main Cronoa? Was it the right choice, and why do you think some players were surprised by it? David, I'll let you start for that.
I main Cronoa. It was 100% the right call to main Cronoa. Just the sheer amount of hype and potential that the Broly deck had. It was just too much of a liability not to main them, or even play them all together. Because just especially some of the variants, like the GT variant, can just beat you turn 2, and you can do nothing about it. So it was 100% the right call to play it. I can understand why people would be surprised that you would main it, but like I was saying, just the liability of not running it wasn't worth it.
Oh, I'll actually stop you there a little bit. Why would anybody be surprised that someone's running Cronoa? That's what I can't understand about the argument. Is there's no downside. It's a 1-drop that draws you a card. It's good on defense. It's good again, and then the one matchup that's really, really good against, it wrecks that matchup. It's unbelievable in that matchup. So why are you not running it? That's what I can understand. I understand, the controversy, quote unquote, but it's to me, it's duh. It's a Boo. Boo was the most ran card for 3 sets. You know what I mean? It's just a better Boo that has.
I love that card.
Yeah, that auto wins a matchup. I don't understand. It's either going to be that card or Borgos, right? Those are the 2 best 1-drops in the game, I think. Right? Is there any other cards that
All the silver bullet ones are good. Borgos is good too.
Yeah, Dende, Kami, but those are the most 2 1-drops that I would say I would expect to see would either be Cronoa or Borgos. And then I think is it going to be Whis in the next set? The yellow one, yeah, right. So obviously that card is another one, but and then Cronoa is the most splashable one. So of course it was ran. I don't know. I thought that was obvious. Dayon, what did you think? Did you run it main board? And then also, like Danny said, were you surprised? How good was it? What did you think about it?
I ran one main board. Cronoa doesn't hurt, or Shugesh doesn't really kill Janemba as effectively. But I ran one main board since the case was kind of free. I actually opted to play more Dendes in my main, thinking I was going to play against more Shenrons. Somehow I dodged all of them, even though it was the second most played deck. But I play against my mirror match, so, what do I know?
Right.
But I did run extra Cronoas in my sideboard and Tokis to go tutor them out, since I played all 3 Kami, Dende, and Cronoa. So essentially I did have play sets of it, just in case. Some matchups, it just shut down. I think my round 1 was against Broly Veggies. And I somehow in game 1, I sacked the one of Cronoa off the top, and he was just sad-faced.
That's awesome. Okay, Proactive 916 in chat in Twitch says, at KitchenTableMeta, David, do you think set 6 will add support for your Hirudegarn?
For my Hirudegarn, not really. The deck is pretty straightforward. It's pretty refined to what it is. It gained nothing from Clash of Fates, which is weird. And the thing about the deck is that it's a Hirudegarn deck, so all the deck, most of the cards are Hirudegarn specific. So it's hard to adjust that.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of cards which we're going to talk about later that I'm going to consider trying, but right now not really. The deck's just really solid as is.
Okay. Lebouche in Twitch, which I'm sure that's not how you say your name. At KitchenTableMeta, for Daehan, what do you think of DR Janemba, which I think is the newly revealed Janemba? I think we're going to go a little bit more into that once we get into the cards that you're excited for in set 6. I think so, Daehan. But do you want to do just a really quick, are you excited?
I'll go in depth into it when we go into it. But me personally, just quick teaser for it. You just cut out the Reality Bender Janemba.
Sure.
That's it. I only ever played 2, and that's the only amount that you probably need to play of that card. I think Demon Sword is just more important to have.
Sure. Okay. That dude, Awesome7 on Twitch says, at KitchenTableMeta, Daehan's thoughts on his match against Blue-Black Hirudegarn.
I don't want to touch it. Nope.
That
give it to David. Give him to David.
Yeah,
I don't need it.
That deck is actually pretty sick. We actually talked about that a little bit pregame. Sevik on Twitch says, at KitchenTableMeta, thoughts on Lord Slug post set 6. I'll let David handle that while I go to YouTube and start looking at questions.
The support for Lord Slug is actually like good. First of all, so the 3-drop that's already been out. I forget his name, but he has crit and he has bond 2. Your opponent discards a card when he swings. That card is amazing already.
I know which one you're talking about. I always draft that stupid card.
Yeah, and the leader is actually really powerful as well. From actually playing like sealed and draft, but being able to cast that guy on 2 is pretty good, and the Lord Slug destruction rare is actually just it can open some floodgates for the deck. So having it being competitively viable is, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. It obviously needs to be further tested, so we'll see.
Yeah, needs more testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I'll say is I know the leader's good. We actually have a person in my locals who's a fairly new player and actually brought Slug to the event because his friend just had a bunch of Slug cards laying around. He's like, yeah, I'll try it. Slug's cool, and actually got like 3rd at the event. Like, did really well. I mean, the leader is like deceptively powerful. It feels a lot like Vegeta from set 1 is what it kind of reminds me of. But
the front side's Vegeta.
Yeah.
The second side actually has a better use than Vegeta's.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I think the leader's cool. I haven't looked at the support too much, but yeah, no, it's really cool. We need more powerful green stuff. So I'm on board with.
They get preemptive strike, David.
There you go. Okay. Griff 1040 PSN says at KitchenTableMeta for both players. Do you prefer Force Ejection Mass Saiyan? Is a valuable side card or main. Now, Force Ejection, that's the 1-drop, right?
It's the one that got nerfed. That's the one they played in the.
That's right. Okay, that's the one that kills the land, right? So,
yep.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What do you guys think about this guy? Is he a good, valuable main board or sideboard card?
He's definitely sideboard worthy. He was supposed to be in my sideboard because just in case I ran up against a Shenron, it helps. It gives you that 1 extra turn before they go off. So it was on my radar. It should have been in my sideboard, but my sideboard was so tight, I just decided not to play it last minute, and I didn't run into a Shenron, so it never came up. So
right.
You and me both dodged the Shenrons.
Man of the hour. Go ahead, Dehan, please.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I forgot about you. I'm sorry.
I don't think the Force Ejection is worth playing over Dende.
Yeah, it seems like Dende would just be more consistent. I don't know. I'm not sure.
If they ejection one time, your Dendes are always live, whereas Force Ejection, you get that 1 tick, but it's just a 15k beater over Dende, at least draws a card if they don't play the objection.
Right.
Yeah. Dende's really good in the matchup where you can afford to tap 3. Like my deck, I don't want to tap anything, so being able to blow up something for 1 was why I considered playing it.
That's actually true. That's a good point.
Very cheap. And, it left enough open that I could defend, and it was that's why I considered playing it.
So for the aggro standpoint, it's good. For the control standpoint, not so good.
Yeah.
Cool. Like it. Man of the Hour 1806 says, question for Dusty, how good will Broly Veggies be in the Team War format? Well, obviously, I think Broly Veggies is the best deck in the Team Wars format, which is why I think that Shigesh should be banned in the Team Wars format. I also think Haru Haru should be banned in the Team War format. I think both of those should be banned. I don't like the what I call the Broly, or well, I guess it'd be more like the Veggie dynamic, where it's like you have one Shigesh deck, and then one person has to run Cronoa, and you kind of hope those two get matched up against each other so you get a win. And usually what happens is that if they get matched up, the Cronoa deck wins, and if they don't, then the Broly deck wins. And so it's almost like one group of people don't matter, if that makes sense. So it's really weird. I don't like that. And I think it really should be kind of shifted. But I'm really curious to see what Dehan and David think about the Shigesh and Haru Haru and Team War format. Do you guys feel like it matters at all? Is that something you guys, I know you guys are both preparing for Orlando. Is that something, do you guys have like a Broly deck or a Veggie deck? Or I guess more importantly, a Shigesh deck? Or do you guys like, nah, we don't need Shigesh? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. To not have a Shigesh deck, it's kind of free, like what Dusty was saying earlier. It's literally just a toss-up of the matches to see if you just can kind of get a free win off of that. and hope you get the Cronoa versus the Veggie deck or the Shugesh deck. But overlapping cards can make that a little bit harder. Well, not necessarily for the Veggie engine, but it's more like they're going to be their sideboard, since it's going to be a best of 3 for the celebration, and we still can't share in sideboards. But it's like, for us, we got Daniel Brown, who's going to be playing like Haida Mastery Broly. Like, you might as well get a yellow Shugesh abusing leader.
Sure.
It's just kind of free to not have it.
That would actually
kind of play around it.
That would actually be a pretty sick way to balance the format, though. I mean, not balance it, I guess. I don't think it's unbalanced format, but I guess it'd be kind of a cool way to fix the problem. Is if Team Wars were best of 3 and the team shared a larger sideboard. So like your sideboard, instead of being 15 cards, was like 20 cards or whatever, but you could share them, and so you could just put Konoas in your sideboard, and then whoever was playing against the Shigashesh could just sideboard them in. And that'd be kind of sick.
Yeah, that would be.
That would balance that out, and same thing with objection-based decks like
Sure.
Shenron Gogeta.
Yeah, no, that'd actually be kind of cool.
No, yeah, I
Cypress Sorry.
What were you saying, Deon?
The sideboards would just be it'd be like 4 Cronoa, 4 Dende, 4 Toki,
right?
Like 4 Mafuba, just in case somebody gets the baby.
Right.
Something like that. That'd just be the universal sideboard.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, I need these Cronoas, so I need all these Tokis
to get my Cronoas. David, what do you think about the format?
No, I completely agree. Like having that possibility of not getting Shugesh player paired up against Cronoa player is too good not to exploit. I'm pretty sure every team should have at least one Shugesh deck because it's just too powerful. Like it had a silver bullet made just because it was that good, and like it's like you said, it's just it's gonna come down to does the Shugesh player play against the Cronoa player? And the bad part about it is the Cronoa player can possibly not draw it, which is
that's true. That's another good point. Yeah. I mean, what I think is funny about the Team Wars format is it reminds me a lot of the Fight Night format. I feel like a lot of problems that we found out after the first Fight Night series, I think they kind of work in the Team Wars format too. Where it's like, cards like Haru, for example, are just they have the potential to just be insane because you could get lucky and get mashed up against a green or yellow deck, and if you do, now you have this Haru that's like really really good. So yeah, no, I agree that there might be something there, but we'll see. I mean, I don't think this format's ever supposed to be that competitive. At least that's what I thought, but it looks like Bandai is definitely pushing it a little bit more on the competitive side than I expected. So maybe if it's successful, they'll actually look at the format and say, okay, we need to put some kind of restrictions to it or whatever. Okay, next question. Question for both players: what do you think the top 3 leaders will be when set 6 is released? Gas House Gaming on YouTube.
That's a tough one. You got this, David?
I still feel like some iteration of Shenron is going to be really good, just because the power level of playing Gogeta 5 or Gogeta 7 on turn 4 is just it's still undeniable at what it can do. Now, if Shenron is going to be that leader is to be determined, because we have that Super Shenron coming out, and then people are exploring other wish leaders like Dende. So we'll see, but I still feel like even though it wasn't well represented at these last 2 events, that it still does a powerful thing. I want to say Hirudegarn will still be around just because the power level of the leader is still really high.
That guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he does a pretty good thing, and he does have the best super combo still. And then last one, I still think Janemba is, even though people were saying it wasn't well represented, but it's still it's won the last 3 events. It got more support, so I think it'll still be out there doing things. So we'll see.
No, I think those are good points. What do you think, Neon?
First, the new Broly leader, that green Broly deck. That deck is busted.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out how to beat that stupid deck. There's just so much pressure on turn 2. So I definitely think that's going to be a top contender. I think Broly lineage variations are still going to be good. It's just a very solid overall deck.
Yep.
And probably some number of, at least people are going to try to play the Gogeta, but that one, I think that has a high ceiling to it. But actually, any Shenron variation might just actually outpace that deck. Sure. I don't think Janema's going to be too prevalent or too powerful in keeping up with the other decks, unless the meta shapes around to where Janema can actually survive the explosion turns, or you like meta game for it and it turns out okay. But just as a whole, I think Janema might actually get outpaced soon, even with that support.
You know, one thing I like about the Broly swap decks is that I like that they can do two things. Like I played Marcel's version at locals. I liked it. It was fun. Justin's deck was much more aggressive, but it just sideboarded in like the Victory Strike package. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool that the deck can either be aggro or it can slow down and kill you with Victory Strike. I think that that variety and that the ability to switch between those two win cons, I think, is going to make that deck relevant for a long time. You know what I mean? Because it's like one of the few decks that can do that. Like
and play Bloodlust.
Right, exactly. And play Bloodlust and all these like really powerful cards. Question for Daehan. How do you think the new Janema feature rare card will change this deck's place in the meta? Keep up the great work, Dusty. Thank you, Super Jedi Dude 24 on YouTube. Like Daehan said earlier, we're going to talk here very soon, like in the next 5 minutes, so I get caught up on the chat. We're going to talk about their favorite set 6 cards. And so, actually, I'm going to let David talk a little bit about his deck, and then we'll do that. And so he'll go into that card. Spoiler alert, that's one of his cards, so he'll talk about that in depth there. The co-pilot on YouTube says, Daehan, congrats on the win. I'm struggling understanding how to close out against many aggro decks with mill. Any advice? I think I'm focusing on the mill too much.
It depends if you run any Champas or anything like that main board. That's the easiest way. If they're playing hyper aggro decks and they're not paying attention to life total, you can just shotgun a couple kills, or you always want to be pressuring their life totals if they're being really aggressive with it, because sometimes they just might let it slip and you can just cheese a win out that way. You should normally have plenty of battle cards or other effects to pressure their battle cards back and just naturally out combo through their hand and force resources from them to apply pressure towards you. I won through every game of Storm when I played Janema, and that was the most aggressive deck in the history of the game so far. So it's all about resource management. If you're having problems personally against aggro decks, if they're not baby leader, play more one-drop cycle cards. They replace themselves and they're free combo for the early pressure. That's the best thing. Or play the free Hans, because you can defend yourself while applying pressure back to their cards.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, by the way, Daehan. I know that's something that at least a lot of people in my local struggle with. Is they kind of just want to do, like, they're like, I'm playing a mill deck, I need to mill every turn with cards. But I think a really good tip, and you said it too, is like, all you have to do when you're playing mill is just survive. If you survive, you win. So you don't actually have to use your energy offensively at any point. You can literally just set back on your super combos and your 1+10,000s, and you can beat a lot of decks that way. And so I think that's great advice, Daehan, to give them. Like I said, just play safe, and you're going to do a great job. Now on the flip side, David, as an aggro player, what are you trying to do in order to snipe out the mill decks? Like, do you have some little tricks up your sleeves? Are you just hoping you don't sit across from Daehan? Like, what are your
I'm coming for you?
Yeah, he's coming. He's going to beat you again. By the way, it'll be the second time he beat you. What do you think?
Well, you're asking specifically for the mill matchup, right?
Yeah.
So you have to find the kinks in their armor, basically. Like, for me, it was finding the right turn to do certain things, because if they just charge an energy, swing a leader, leave everything untapped, and say go, they're obviously going to have a lot of resources to fight back any kind of pressure you put on. So a lot of times I would just go charge pass, or charge leader swing pass, and wait for them to make a move before I went on the offensive. A lot of the times I would wait for them to do something like I would wait for their turn 3 or turn 4 when they would try to put out like a Janemba, and it would leave them with like 1 or no resources left open, and they would be, have a dimension magic to fight back if anything was coming at them too hard. But I would wait for them to have less resources, and then I would go in hard with something like, say, like a double strike crit to really, make sure that either 1 goes through, or 2, they use a lot of resources to defend it. So it was really like just like kind of like poking at them here and there to find the right turns and the right time to go at them. Because like I was saying, if you go in and they have full resources ready, they can just easily go combo. What else you got?
Definitely.
Your turn's over.
Yeah. Okay. Also, guys, for everybody who's watching on Facebook, I think last time I checked, there was about 20 of you. Which, by the way, guys, we're over 100 viewers now. So thank you all so much for that. Appreciate that. This is literally my 13th or 14th broadcast on Restream, and I've always struggled seeing the Facebook comments because Facebook in Chrome puts so much load on my computer while I'm streaming, it crashes my computer. I just, for some reason, just thought, you know what, I could just go on my phone and read the comments. So if you guys are on Facebook now, you can ask questions. I'll just read them off of my $800 phone that I forget exists. So what I'll do is I'm going to go through it really quick. Devin Butterworth on Facebook says, "What's up, y'all? Thoughts on the new judge packs?" I don't think new judge packs.
I didn't see any of those.
I did. It's like Zeno button.
Ooh, Zeno.
Yeah, it has some spice. It has like battering lasers, Zeno button.
Oh, battering! Come on.
Yeah, it has some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds sick. Okay, well I'll look those up and we'll go over those. Also, we just got a new follower that I completely ignored. I'm sorry. Actually, I think I've like the things haven't been going. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Holy crap. But yeah, someone just followed. Actually, I just looked at my notifications again on my phone. This thing's handy. I just realized that. Vinra, thank you so much for the follow, my friend, and welcome to the Kitchen Table Meta stream. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know at KitchenTableMeta in the chat. I'll do my best to answer questions as soon as possible. Thank you so much for stopping by and saying hello. And just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, my friend. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let me get back to the Facebook stuff. Jerome Nathaniel says, Dehan. Oh, new subscriber, Peyton Kecker. Thank you so much for just subscribing on YouTube, my friend. Really means a lot. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you, buddy. Jerome Nathaniel says on Facebook, Dehan versus Justin Rios, Atlanta Finals is my favorite match of all time. And then he says, laugh out loud, Dusty be like, oh yeah, that'll be a kind of cool idea. I create the best ideas ever. Well, that's true. I do create the best ideas ever, by the way, just so you know. That's actually a fact. No, I was actually just talking out loud, and then once I heard it out loud, I was like, oh, it actually would be kind of neat. And then Dehan destroyed it, just like Ninja Sword cut it in half, which I do agree. I think no, I agree with you. I think that it would be that while it's cool to have a team share a sideboard, it might make it a little too default, right? So it might make it too like toolboxy, I guess is the right word for it. And then people will just take out the best pieces, or they'll just design it to beat like one deck that they're having trouble with. So I agree. Dehan's right. I suck. We also have Alexander Burse on Facebook says, also Dehan, how do you beat the mirror? I struggle so much, it's exhausting.
Oh god, I hate the mirror too. Don't worry about it. Everybody hates the mirror. It kind of feels like Universe 7 mirror match again. Universe 7 Frieza mirror match, whereas it's a big wet noodle fight. At least main board, it usually is. It helps if you play Champas in your main for that. So the main thing about playing the mirror is obviously hard mulligan for Janembas. If both of you are playing heavy mill variations, hard mulligan for Janembas. You just need to resolve as many as possible, but also be aggressive against their leader. You could still kill people, but
what are you trying to do?
What?
That's me. I'm sorry. Keep going.
But you need to pressure the life total to where they're forced to use their super combos that are rotting in their hand to start turning through their deck. So it's still you being efficient with your mana, and Childish Heart Janemba is probably one of the best cards in that matchup. And I have sideboard kind of dedicated for the mirror. Like when any time somebody looks at my deck list, like, what's that power overseeing time Trunks for? It's strictly mirror based. That's it. I just start looping the Trunks for just 20k double strike every single turn, or in the final turn after I pressure their hand enough, I get like a Champa that they milled earlier, and then every one of my cards is now a lethal swing. And you can still mill while being aggressive. You just keep track of their count of their deck and your deck, while also keeping track of cards in their hand. It's a lot to keep track of, but you have to do this if you want to be proficient in the mirror match. You gotta keep track of hand, deck, and their life, and what's been milled and what you have left. It's a lot to know to be proficient in it.
The national champ himself, Big Boy, says Gogeta is one of the judge promos?
Yeah, Gogeta 7.
Gogeta 7 is one of the judge promos?
Yeah.
Isn't the old art?
It's here to stay, basically.
Shoot. Well, yeah, you're right. It's here to stay. Ask freaking Trunks about that, or Goten, or any of those other promo cards. You know what I mean? Big Boy 13266 says also says Whis' Coercion.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, that's cool. And Shocking Deathball. Shocking Deathball is another really good card. Jeez, that's awesome. Those judge promos sound. Yeah, I do too. I love that card. Like, I feel like Green has so many cool cards and just not good leaders. Like, I feel like they're just.
It's not that they don't have good leaders. I think personally is they're kind of shafting Green just to be androids. That's what most of its support's been, and like at least it's good and viable, like mana efficient and play efficient support has just been androids, and then they just shafted Cell, so the deck became less consistent on the punishing of the 7-drop. Okay. So it lost a lot of what was going for it in that sense. That's why we haven't seen any really at all.
Okay, so I got the list. You want to hear it?
Yes, let's hear it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it sounds.
Okay, so Whis' Coercion, the 1-drop Broly from set 1.
Is it on? Wait, before you go any further, is it just on the website?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
You don't know.
What do you know?
Yeah, I was like, what are you
reading?
This guy.
So it's in a chat. I'm looking at it in a chat, but it's taken from the website, so I'm pretty sure it's on the website.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we have to put up with. You know what I mean? Like, he's on our team too. That's what's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So we have to he doesn't know where he's at half the time.
Do you want to hear him or not?
Well, I was gonna pull him up and go together with the chat. I was like, I thought it'd be fun, but you don't know how you found them. Go ahead.
So the 1-drop Broly, and then Battering Laser.
1-drop Broly. Which 1-drop Broly?
The 1-drop Green Broly that looks for more Broly's.
Okay, so the set 1 Broly.
Yeah.
Okay. Set 1 top 7 searcher.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Zeno Button, the Occupation Bodyguard Frieza, the Dimension Trunks, Gogeta 7, Villainy Cell, so super combo.
Oh,
damn it! I have to get higher rarity ones. God,
that's actually pretty sick.
Shocking Death Ball, and then the last one is everybody's Pal Yamcha.
Ooh, that's really cool. Those are really good. Those are all really good. I mean, obviously, like Zeno Button's a little weird, but that card's still really cool.
I hate that card.
Jacob Boris in Facebook says, "How important is all-inspiring Vegito in Janemba?" That's the 4-drop Vegito. That's like a Deadly Defender-esque card.
Man, y'all gotta start asking David some questions. Y'all give him some love too. But I'll answer this question. Very important. It is better than any Deadly Defender. Please do not play Deadly Defenders in Janemba. It's a trap. Don't do it no matter what anybody tells you. Yeah, I tap out for 4 usually, or sometimes 4 to play Deadly Defender. I try to hold out to turn 5 if I can to get my draw and have a mana open. But every time I do play it on 4, I either have my Awaken still, or a Dimension Magic with Sparking, so I'm never really tapped out with it. The extra Sensu Bean for him offers infinite value. He either forces the Mirror Swing on him, or your opponent's to over combo into it, so either I let it die and they lost their hand, or I just out combo it and say he's still here to stay and play.
Sure.
He offers pressure on life total, battle cards, while giving me a chance to be aggressive with my life with Dimension Magics and such. Now, if I get hit by a lightning fast hit, I goofed. But the card just buys time and forces actions that your opponents don't normally want to do. I only play as a 2-of still because he's only good in those situations and like certain niche situations where I don't need like demons or anything, where I just want to get a little bit more pressure or safety. But my entire deck just cycles. So I was like, yeah, you only play 1 or 2 of a card, but I have a pretty fair chance of finding them. Like, I draw as much cards as like the Broly decks. So saying like you won't see is like saying I won't mill you.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Also, Jeremy Dunham, thank you so much for the sub. Really means a lot. Again, I'm pretty sure that was on YouTube, so thank you so much for the sub on YouTube. It means a whole lot, man. Like I said, you guys are amazing. I think we're on our way to 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you guys so much again for the love and support.
Sweet.
Really, really means a lot. Also, Vinraw, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. I know you said that in Twitch. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Since you just followed, you probably don't know this, but I actually can't talk. The fact that I can speak in the amount of English I can is actually an anomaly. I'm not sure how I can do it. I mispronounce literally everything. So I'm actually not even sure if my name is Dusty. I think I just read it and I think that's what it says. So thank you again so much for the follow, and I'm sorry I mispronounced your name. Hopefully you can come to one of these events, walk up to me and be like, hey dude, I'm that guy that you said your name wrong, and tell me how to say it properly, and hopefully I will get it right for you, my man. I'm sorry, and thank you again so much for the follow, man. It really, really means a lot, even if I do say it incorrectly. Dusty, check your Facebook messages. Okay, I will take a look for it. Thank you, man. Let's see. Let's catch up here a little bit on the YouTubes. What is everyone's thought on a mid-range decks in the current future of the meta? My quick thought is I think that Dragon Ball is just a mid-range game. I think there isn't very many control decks. Most of the decks are all mid-range. But what do you think, Dehan, David? What do you I'll let David go with this. He's an ex-Magic player. What do you think about mid-range in Dragon Ball? Do you think it's here to stay for Set 6? Do you think it's going to go away? What do you think?
No, it's the format has moved to a mid-range feel. They got rid of the only true aggro deck, so it's no longer can you consistently win on turn 2, turn 3. So the game has moved into a much more mid-range feel. Like everyone assumes that I played Blue Red Hirudegarn as an aggro deck. That was so far from how I actually played the deck. It was much more of a mid range. I would pass. I would play very passive and pass go, and then react to what they did. In the more like mid range feel. Just kind of playing tempo and keeping things going, and then still like having a decent end game against slower decks.
All right, sick. All right. Let's see if there's any more questions. Oh, I'm sorry, my question's above. I forgot to put the tag. Peyton says, for both players and Dustin, I have had green, yellow, golden Frieza built for about 2 weeks. This deck applies a bunch of pressure really quick and then sets back on a turn 4 kill ideally. What lower tier leaders do you think have a chance to perform well? I definitely meant Dusty. No, it's okay. Dustin's fine. I actually think Dustin's my legal name, but I've always went by Dusty. Like I said, I can't read my name. Yeah, I'll let Dehan answer this since David got the last one. What low tier leaders do you think have a chance to do well in the upcoming format, Dehan?
I personally think Pan can do well with the new. It can use the Gogeta support. So that could be something spicy that can come up. Pan might see a resurgence into it, especially if it's going to sticking to a more mid-range format. Pan kind of excels in that essence of just outvaluing, grinding out opponents with pressure and card draw. That one is definitely something that could pop up. Actually, I haven't tested too much with old leaders coming back, so I really can't answer that for say. I mean, everything's coming in the air with the set. It's like saying what's going to be good in a new set. It's like we just see something flashy and shiny. That could be sweet. Like that could be lit. But then we just didn't see this one thing that somebody found out from an old set or whatever. And it just completely breaks the game.
Right. Absolutely.
It's just there's some things that are just shiny that we automatically draw to, but we kind of sleep on a few cards that are actually what will change a format.
Okay.
So just give it time.
David, what do you think, buddy? Anything that's catching your eyes?
The power boosters have really helped bring a lot of older stuff to the forefront, and it looks like they're going to continue doing power boosters. There's already the power booster.
I will say that the new power boosters aren't as exciting.
They're definitely not on the level of the ones that just came out.
No, they're doo-doo.
But they still can do a thing, and you'll see with one of my choices for top 3 cards. And we'll go into that later. But there's definitely with the support that they're giving older cards, that you can see a resurgence of leaders like Lord Slug, we already talked about. we might see a Lord Slug deck come back, and do something of relevance other than just sit in your binder doing nothing.
Right.
But
collecting pennies.
Yeah, and then the collector's edition as well it's supposed to have cooler support, all this support, and you never know because it might be just like the Power Booster Goku and just make this archetype that no one touched before, and it'll be, winning tournaments. So you never know. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Butters_OW, thank you so much for the follow, my friend, and welcome to the KitchenTableMeta stream. If you have any questions at all, let me know at KitchenTableMeta in the chats. I'll do my best to answer questions as soon as possible. Otherwise, my friends, sit back, relax, enjoy the stream, and thank you so much for stopping by. It means a lot, and thank you so much. Okay, guys, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to let David go ahead and talk a little bit about his tournament, what he played against. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the set 6 cards. Continue to ask questions at KitchenTableMeta in both chats, either Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. I do have Facebook up on my phone now, so I can actually answer some of your guys' questions. Also, Raul Martinez and Rashim Zeno. You guys' names are actually absurd to me. Rashim Zeno, Achia Barnes. I feel like there's like four different names in there. Thank you so much, both of you, for watching on Facebook. Appreciate it, man. Okay, David, go ahead, buddy. What do you think? How did your deck do? How did you kind of come up with the deck? And then, what did you play against? How did your tournament go?
So it obviously went well. Not first place. That's why we're talking here today.
Spoiler.
It was a really amazing experience. Whenever there's an event in the West Coast, everyone from the West Coast comes out. It's such a great experience to see everybody that we have. We're really the as a collective, we're really the greatest card game group that I've ever been a part of. And I'm not just saying the West Coast, the East Coast too. I drove down 9 hours from Sacramento. Shout outs to my Sacramento boys. We came out, and it was actually super cold in Vegas too. So nice to see you guys. It was actually snowing on the way back, which is bizarre.
Oh, sweet.
Bizarre for the desert, right? Preparations for the event. Shout outs to Anthony Myclef, KitchenTableMeta team member. He has been on a very similar deck list since Harudegarn's been a leader. He's done really well with it, and I was kind of I don't want to say I was lost in what to play, but I was very open to what I wanted to play, and I figured off of the new restricted and banned list that Blue-Red Harudegarn was going to be really strong, because it does a similar thing that Blue-Yellow used to do, but it has some flex to it, which I liked. And so I did a lot of preparations with that. Me and Anthony did a lot of, theorying, talking back and forth, and we swapped deck lists and talked about stuff. And I played it for like 3 weeks straight. I'm sorry for my local players, because sometimes I go into overdrive and super competitive instead of being casual and fun. So sometimes they don't like that, but my locals are awesome. They put up with it and don't give me too much shit about it. But yeah, I like I said earlier, I just kind of prepared for what I thought was going to be there. Janemba, Broly, Chain Zeno, and Shenron, and I wanted to have a game against all of them. I configured my main deck and my side deck to be strictly for those, and I couldn't have asked for a better event. Like, my goal going into it was just to make top cut, because I always lose my win-ins, and so as soon as I was locked in, I was excited. I didn't care if I won, but obviously winning out in top cut was awesome and amazing. And just the deck configuration. We talked about Cronoa earlier, main decking it. Like we said, I thought it was absolutely fine. It actually made for an awesome flex in sideboarding, because sometimes when you build a deck, you have to have a sideboard plan. And it was really easy to take Chrono out in the matchups where Shugesh was a thing. So it really smoothed a lot of my decision makings in between rounds and in between games. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better event. It was, run smoothly. I had all my friends and people from the West Coast, and it was just absolutely amazing.
Well, buddy, you killed it. So thank you for representing KitchenTableMeta, and thank you so much for being just an amazing guy in the community. Both you and Dehan both are just fantastic people to talk to, and just fantastic pillars of the community. Both of you are super friendly, super awesome guys. Dehan, I think, is a little bit better since he's actually from the East Coast and not from the West Coast. But other than that, you guys are both equal in my eyes. So I love you both. Thank you both for being amazing. Guys, again, keep asking questions. See a couple questions here we'll get to, but we're getting a little close to 2 hours. I don't want to go over that, so I want to really quickly get into our cards that we're the most excited for set 6. Now, this is the Champ series, so I'm gonna let these two guys pick their favorite cards, and I'll just comment on them a little bit with them. But really, it's their picks, not my picks. So we're going to do that, guys. Do not forget. Go over to our brothers at Pro Play Games and start pre-ordering your cards now. Set 6 is actually insane. It has so many amazing cards. These Agent Destruction cards are amazing looking. They're so cool. So make sure you go over to their website, ProPlayGames.com, to go to their TCG player and get as many cards as you can, guys. Support them. They're supporting us with the Pro Play Tour, and go check out their Pro Play Tour at ppgeventmanagement.com. Next stop is in Orlando, and then after that it's going to be in Texas, which is over towards David. So definitely go check them out. They are an amazing group of guys. Okay, guys, so let's get it going. I'm going to let Dehan go first, since he actually won with a deck that took a lot of skill. So Dehan, real quick, what is your third most excited about to play card from the next set?
My third most favorite is the Janemba.
Okay, so let me pop it up. You said Janemba. We'll pop her up because I wasn't sure if you remembered which order you did, so I was just gonna have you say it and then I'll pop up the card. This is gonna take a little bit longer. I'm sorry, guys. I was supposed to have a really cool overlay for you guys and I just didn't. So I'm sorry. Here he is, Mr. Janemba. I'm going to blow this up a little bit so it looks a little better. I'm going to put it like over my face because who cares about me? And here it is. So Agent of Destruction Janemba. 4 cost, 2 blue, 20,000. Critical attacker, no deflect, which is important. Auto activate this skill when you play this card from your hand or warp. At the end of the turn, if this is your turn, choose up to 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode, and then active main, send this card to the owner's warp, draw 1 card, then your opponent places 3 cards from the top of their deck in the drop area. Dehan, I'm going to talk a little bit about why this card is your third favorite card. I know a lot of people have been asking a lot about this card. They've been asking them, please, Dehan, what do you think? So what do you think, buddy, about this insane card?
Okay, so it's a good card, no doubt about it. I personally think it is a good card. You just replace out the Reality Bender and Janemba, but it's just a 2 of. Not having deflect can make that awkward, but it's not necessarily the worst thing. You obviously just don't shove it in front of a Broly deck when they have an open mana. You just don't want to get blown out like that. But the card can offer good tempo, and the reason I like it a little bit more than the Reality Bender is it replaces itself. You get the untapped mana, and most importantly, you get the draw card. Now, since it doesn't go back into the deck, that can be a little bit awkward if you still play Psyche Demons and such for shuffle effects to get them back. But this is why we still play Childish Heart, because you can send like a Demon Sword to warp and get this Janemba instead. You have the options of flexibility of this can offer more Turbo Mill, it replaces itself, so when you use Childish, you still draw a card, untap a mana. You're still getting full face value for it. It's still a powerful card, still great tempo. It's just not making the deck any more powerful than what it really is.
Sure, just give it more options.
Yeah, I just don't think it was like as much as people hyped up to be. But from testing with it a little bit, it's been nice. It's been better than Reality Bender.
Oh, cool.
It has not made me win any games faster of milling.
Sure, definitely. No, the card's really cool, and we talked a lot about it. Wim, who was also on KTM for the the European team, he brought up a really good point in our discussion we were having on Facebook. I'm not sure what happened to the comments on that, by the way. I never did look into that, but we actually were having a really cool conversation about this card, and then all the comments got taken off. I'm not sure if they got deleted or what happened, but he brought up a really good point where he was saying that this card, even though it doesn't have deflect. Most of the time, you sideboard out your Cobalt Lust and stuff anyway, right? And you're not going to keep cards that are dead to every other card in Janemba just for this card, right? So that actually was a really good point that he brought that up. David, whenever you saw the Janemba card, what did you think? Did you think oh my god, there's goes Bandai, or did you just oh, this is a cool tool? What did you think?
No, it was honestly I saw it. It was obviously a solid addition to their lineup, but they only want to play X amount of Janembas anyways. I don't think that's going to change going forward. I don't feel like playing 4/4/4 of all the 4-drops is optimal, because then you're not, you're just losing out on.
I just wish you could have saw Dayon's no. He's do not do that.
Yeah,
I only play 6 Janembas all the time in my deck.
It's just. It doesn't seem good. So it's
Jeez.
Sure, they got a new tool, but it's not gonna make the leader absolutely busted and call for some crazy, emergency ban errata, whatever.
Get ban it, boys. It's 3 instead of 2. You messed up.
Yeah, they got a shiny new tool. That's cool.
No, absolutely. It's something I talked a little bit about. I'm not going to get too much into it now, but I think something this game really needs is dynamic sideboarding. That's something I love for Magic, where it's your choices actually, they matter a lot. You just don't put in a bunch of cards that are good against everything, right? Yeah. And so you can be punished sometimes where you're I'm going to put this card in because, they're going to do this, and they just don't do that. So then the cards, you get blown out. There's mind games in the sideboarding of Magic. Not every choice, but at least it's there. It's presented. And I feel in our game there's negative mind games in that regard. Aaron Kohlhauer, Paul Delia, and Chris Ing. Thank you so much for watching, guys, on Facebook. Also, Chris Ing says, shout out to Dahan for always destroying me in locals and keeping my ego in check. Jerome Nathaniel says, Dusty, will the Lifecam ever return? I thought it was the neatest addition to live gameplay. Great question, and yes, we are trying to bring it back for celebrations. Me and Marcus are both working on it very hard. Remember, the Lifecam was an alpha, it was just a test to see if it was feasible. However, for us to get it to work, it was really intrusive to the players. And so we had to go back to the blueprints, go back to the drawing board, and find out a way to bring it back without, bothering the players. Because the problem was we essentially, when we got set up, it looked really good, but you couldn't see the cards under it. So we had to get this big spotlight and shine under the table so you could see the cards. And the problem is, since once the players started taking life, this giant heaven light just beamed through the table and started shooting them in the face. And so they played through it. They thought it was cool, and we think it's really cool. But again, our goal for the Pro Play Tour, especially, in my goal whenever we're casting, is I never want to hurt the players. Right? I never want the players to have a terrible time. And so we had to essentially retire the cam until we could find a way to do it better. No one complained. It was just something that we just noticed it, right? It's that's clearly uncomfortable, right? It's this giant laser beam of light shooting this guy in the face, so yeah, it didn't affect Marcel because he wears glasses, sunglasses the whole time, but everyone else it was unfair. So we wanted to make sure we fixed that. Okay, so guys, we're gonna get into our David's third card, which is really exciting for me because I love this guy. David, I'll let you go ahead and talk about it. It is Sun Goku, The Adventure Begins, the 1-drop black Sun Goku with 2 active mains. Active main, once per turn, choose up to 1 4-star ball from your deck or drop area and add it to your hand. Then shuffle your deck if you looked through it. And then active main, once per turn. I'm not done, David. 2 energy. If your leader card is black, choose up to 1 skillless battle card with an energy cost of 3 or less from your deck or drop area and play it. Then shuffle your deck if you looked through it. Okay, David, now you can go.
This guy's my boy. This card right here is Value Town, printed on a card. So just like starting off the bat, like Kid Goku's always been my favorite of any iteration of Goku. Dragon Ball, best ball. I don't care about Z, whatever. Anyways, so going past that, just the card is clearly like 100% like value. It's obviously a boo. Like, you play it and you search for a 4-star ball.
Sure.
But then every turn it stays in play, you continue to get that value. So you just, like, it becomes the most threatening 1-drop, in my opinion, to be on the board, because it could carry a game by itself. And not only that, it has a second auto, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Pay 2 for a 30k. People don't understand. 30k is so hard to get off the board. Like, unless you have spot removal, which is already scarce in the meta.
That's true.
You know, you're not swinging into them and comboing efficiently. And just the way the deck works, because, like, I've already played a couple games of this thing, and I love it. And it has weaknesses. I'm not saying it's the best deck, but it's just so fun to, like, play vanillas.
Absolutely.
And, like, go at it. Like, one of my favorite archetypes was the Grandpa Gohan, like, red package, and being able to go back and play vanillas is just going to be a blast. So I'm super excited.
You heard it here first, guys. David Fujimura saying that the new Black Goku is the best deck in the format. No, but yeah, actually, guys, one of the new segments I'm going to do as soon as I get back from Gamma is I'm going to actually pick a deck, and I'm going to play 100 games on stream with that deck. I'm actually going to start with the Black Goku deck. I see Daehan's little scrunchy face. Screw you, Daehan. I know you've played 100 games with Janemba. You did. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to do that. I think it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be able to. It's a fun way to kind of learn decks together, and also just grind out a bunch of games to see how many different kind of builds and what is the actual best build. I have a couple other ideas with it, but I just wanted to tell you guys that that's how excited I am of this Black Goku leader. I think he's going to be really fun. There's like me and David's been talking about a couple different builds. We actually were kind of building the same thing when we started talking, but there's just a lot of really cool ways you can build this deck, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. I think this is obviously a huge part of that deck. Daehan. Oh, something else to remember about this card too that David forgot to talk to you guys about. I'm sorry about that. Is this card's perfect with power? Was it Power Burst? Is that what it's called? The black
Power Burst, insane.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, him and Android 8.
Yeah, Android 8's. Oh man, that's so cool.
It's just free value with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Daehan, what do you think about that 1-drop before I go into your second card?
Dude, that card's busted. I mean, it's the meat of the deck. It's what you want every turn one. Also, it lets you not play too many of the 4-stars in your deck. Like in my build, I only played 2, just in case. So like one was in life. I'm not completely dead. But the best thing about it is, like, whenever you do awaken, you can reveal it. You can draw 2, then you can discard the ball, then activate the main and pick up the ball you discarded from the graveyard.
Yep.
It's like I just drew 2 cards for no effort. It was just free.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's an aggro deck that just draws cards for free and that can awaken on 6. So you're not getting pressured back as much from leader swings on 10Ks, while you're just developing a board state of vanillas and like 15Ks and the 19K and such, and just cycling through your deck for what you need. Like it's a very consistent deck.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, so we're going to get to Daehan's second pick. This is the second card that he's the most excited for. Pretty excited about this card. This is actually a huge surprise to me. I didn't expect Daehan to pick this card. But here it is. It's the 8-drop Bojack the Plunderer, the Pirate. A lot of text on this card, first of all. So it's actually, there's so much text on the card, I just realized it's actually almost covers the entire picture. It's actually more picture covered in text than actual picture. That's pretty cool. EX evolve 3 yellow and 1. On a Bojack, energy cost of 3. When you play this card, if you have 5 or more life, choose all of your opponent's cards and switch them to rest mode. Pretty neat. When your opponent switches, of course this would be one Daehan's card. Of course it would be. I forgot. This is like this super control-y, like you have to untap all your stuff and you get obliterated every time you untap something. When your opponent switches one of their cards in rest mode to active mode, if your leader card is a Bojack Brigade card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to their warp. Pretty good. Activate, and this does trigger individual too. So if he taps like 7 things down, you would have to discard 7 cards to untap your stuff. Activate once per turn. Choose one Bojack Brigade card in your battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. This card gains dual attack for the duration of the turn. 25k attack power. What do you think, Dayon? Why did you choose this card for your second card?
So my other guilty pleasure for this game besides the Janemba deck is I like to play like discard kind of control-based decks. It's like right now I play like if I don't play Janemba or any other kind of meme, I'm just playing on locals. I'll play my Shenron Android 13 deck where I just make you discard your entire hand on like turn 4. But this could be fun. The Bojack deck itself has a lot of cool tricks. Like it's got a 1-drop Kid Goku combo in a nutshell by discarding 2. But this Bojack could just be extremely brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially on the early turns if you haven't like have 13 cards, and if you like only have like 9 or even like 8 or so. So it's like you usually have 4 mana tapped at this point, a leader card. That's already 5 cards from Warp. And if you have anything on battlefield, you just get punished more for that. So it's like you discard your entire hand, draw your card, charge him in, and you play the last card in your hand as an answer to him. It's like, okay, what else you got?
Yeah, what else you got? Question about this. When you untap your stuff, do you untap everything at one time, or do you what I'm trying to say? Like, can I choose to untap like one energy, or do I have to untap them all?
So I had a discussion with Daniel about this, and we kind of, the way it's worded, this is how we believe it should work. Everything untaps because he says auto. My argument was that it's like the Universe 7 Frieza. That's, if you use a counter or an auto, you pay a life.
Sure.
I thought it was like that, but this is just an auto. It's going to trigger on everything. It doesn't create a window for you to pay the cost. It just happens.
Okay.
It checks upon resolution of the card on tapping. It doesn't give you the chance to choose to untap it or not.
Okay, that makes sense.
So everything's going to untap regardless, and you have to pay the cost to do it untapping from whatever means of how it untapped.
And if you can't, it just doesn't untap.
No. You can if you have no cards in it, it still untaps.
Okay.
The trigger will go on the stack, but it's like you're not paying a cost on tap. It's an effect of when you untap.
Okay, cool. David, what do you think about this big boy?
It's a trap.
It's
a joke deck. You don't play it in the tournament, but it's fun and depressing.
No, it's a really awesome effect on a card, and especially with the Devastation Rare Bojack being so good, it's like you have a good avenue to put him into play through EX Evolve. But for me personally, a lot of the Bojack stuff is kind of, is it worth it? Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more support too. That's the thing. This is a card that gets scary the more support we see too. That's kind of always how it goes though. Okay, Paul Deila on Facebook says, Dusty O'Brien, what do you think about Bandai releasing promos that power up sets 1, 2, 3, like sets 4 and 5? Something like a quick route to getting out Godbreak, for example. Do you think that will ever happen? Actually, I think it is going to happen with the anniversary pack that comes out. I think that's probably their intentions, is to say, okay, anniversary time, thank you guys so much for supporting our game. We're going to go back to the beginning and give you guys support for those players who were here since the start. And actually just give you some of the staples for the players that weren't. So it seems like that's their intention. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But that seems to be what they're going to do. So I do think that it will happen. I think it really should happen. That's been one of my criticisms to Bandai the few times I've talked to them, is I think they need to support more leaders in their it really feels like they just bring out a new set and they're like, okay, let's bring out these new leaders with these new really cool ideas, and then next set they just do the same thing, but they forget about all the old guys, and then next set they do the same thing and they forget about everybody else. And I think instead they should always have at least one card per set that boosts old leaders. Bring out a little bit of Android support every set, bring out a little bit of Frieza Army support, Goku support, that stuff. Okay, let's move on to David's second card, which I believe is this one. If I'm wrong, I am sorry, but I think it was Tien? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Tien Shinhan, Returning Fire. 4 cost, 15k, permanent. If your opponent's leader card is red or blue, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3, making him a 1 cost. When you play this card, your opponent can't switch energy to active mode with a non-awakened skill until the end of your opponent's next turn. David, why is this here, buddy?
Alright, so a little disclosure. I'm not picking this card because of the card itself solely. Part of why I picked this card is because it's the trend that Bandai's starting to move into, which I really like. And this goes back to what you were talking about before about sideboard cards being really relevant now.
Sure, dynamic sideboarding. Yep.
Yeah, dynamic sideboarding. And this card goes in with it because it's like, this is an effect that like isn't gonna completely shut out the opponent. It's not super oppressive like say Haru Haru was, but it's really good sideboard tech, right? And I feel like this is the kind of stuff that we need to start moving into now that the game's been out for a while and we're up to X amount of sets. And for this game to get really dynamic in like lots of depth into it, like this is the type of card we need to see, because the more we see these kinds of cards, it's the more deck building and sideboarding become harder and more important. Like part of my sideboarding at the event was really like I didn't just throw random cards in there and like, hey look, I got 5 spots, let's throw Ginyu Force in there, haha. No, it was like each card had a purpose and each card went in certain matchups and they were important for those matchups. And like even if they didn't even come in, like my deck had no main deck negates, and it only had 2 Mafubicide. And just the fact that they were in there, my opponents in Top Cut had to play around it, because it was a possibility that they would have been in there. And I actually won Game 2 against the Haida Mastery player because he thought I could have played a Mafuba against him.
Rios did the same thing.
Yeah, and I didn't sideboard the Mafuba, so it was a plus. But that's the kind of like depth that like players of our caliber need to start like diving into now. Like this is gonna matter in those events, just like it did for me. Like
right. And you both play Magic, so you'll both kind of understand what I'm talking about with this. Where it's like, whenever I played Magic at the height of me playing Magic, I played Delver in Standard. Mm-hmm. I love that deck. It was super cool. We talked a little bit about me playing Tempo or aggro control decks. And one thing I loved is there was a card in there called Mana Leak. You guys probably heard me talk about this card a lot on the channel. Yeah. Shut up. It's awesome. And so what was awesome about Mana Leak was that it was very good at the beginning. Okay, but at the game, but it was terrible late in the game because people can just play it. They can just pay the cost to stop it from doing what it does. So what you could do to get advantages, like you just talked about, David, you could like some locals I would play the card in my deck, some I wouldn't, but I would always keep the energy open to represent the fact I had it. And so sometimes my opponent would be like my favorite story is I played against this guy. He was like known to raging at our locals, and he was like, oh man, like. I kept 2 up the whole game, and then he couldn't play out his Sorin to win the game. And he was like, if I would have played it, you just would have Mana Leaked it. And I was like, I actually don't have Mana Leak in my deck. And he was like, oh, what the heck? And I was like, no, I took him out. And he was like, oh my god. And so the next week, he gets to 5 mana, and he's just like, boom, Sorin, boy. And I'm like, Mana Leak. And he was like, you said he took those out. And I was like, I did last week. And it was just so funny. And like, so it's constant mind game. Is he running it? Is he just showing the mana because he doesn't, he's trying to bait me? Like, what's happening? And I feel like we don't really have that in our game right now. No. And I do agree that I would like to see some level of that in the game, right? Because I think it's fun. I think it's I mean, obviously Mana Leak is a very oppressive card, but I think that I would love to see something like that. It's like, oh crap. And I think cards like Preemptive Strike are heading to that direction, and it's amazing. It's like, oh, he has 2 green energy open, and you do the same thing. Like Dahan, I know, could absolutely tell a story about this, I'm sure, where you leave 2 energy open, and you're like, I hope he thinks I have Mafuba and doesn't attack with that guy, because if he does, I'm dead. You know what I mean? You're just trying to bait him. Like, because I'm representing Mafuba energy. Will he attack into it or not? And I love that. I love that feeling, and I agree that these types of cards are definitely in the right. Does he run TN? I don't know. Should he? Is he going to side it in? Maybe I'll play around it. Like, I'll take all my stuff out, all my energy on tapping stuff out, so I don't get blown out by TN, and then you're just like, I just won't run TN now because I know you're doing that. And that's what we're talking about when we say dynamic sideboarding. So, go ahead, David.
That's an exact. No, I was gonna say that's exactly like what happens in the scenarios that we're gonna start seeing. Like, but I hate to reference Magic, but like we just they just had a pro tour, and the finals was determined because of the sideboard plans, and because of that, because there was like one player was like, okay, is he gonna sideboard this and this out? You know, if he does, do I sideboard my stuff out for that? And it's like, that's the stuff that like wins you tournaments. And
absolutely, no, absolutely. No, it's actually a reason why I kind of wish they would let us sideboard in super combos. Like, could you imagine what the Krona and Shigesh like sideboarding would be if you could sideboard in and out of there? Like if the Shigesh player could sideboard, you know, out of Shigesh. I mean, I know we'd see a lot less Anthony Hernandez videos, that's for sure. Tim Floyd, thank you so much for watching on Facebook, my friend. Appreciate it. Tim Floyd, one of my local players. So thank you so much for watching, my man. Really appreciate you watching on Facebook. Like I said, I think we're right under 100 viewers now, guys, on all three media. So thank you so much again for watching. So that was David's number 2. So we're going to go to Dahan. Oh, actually, Dahan, did you have anything to say about the TN?
We needed that for Storm meta.
Yeah, absolutely, right. No, I agree. That card was pretty sick in that scenario for sure. All right, so we're going to move on to what's really funny was this was actually, but I'm going to say this is Dahan's number 1, but this was actually like also David's number 1. He just didn't want to have the same one, so we could actually have 2 different cards. And actually, I was going to make a list, and this was my number 1. So like this was literally just the number 1, right? Like Dahan copied me and David's what I'm trying to say. Okay,
great minds think alike.
Yeah. Right, but then it's like, why did David agree? You know what I mean? So it's like weird when you say it like that. Okay, here we go. Mr. Beerus, Godstrike Beerus, my boy. The 3-drop 15k. His auto doesn't matter. The reason why we're playing him is because he's Beerus. He's just a 3-cost 15k attacker, unbeatable. How are you gonna stop him? Okay, so yeah, 2 costs plus 10,000. No one got the joke. Okay, auto. When you combo with this card, choose up to one of the keyword skills on one of your opponent's battle cards and negate it for the duration of the turn. This ability is absolutely insane. We've seen Richard Zapp write an article about it, talking about how he thinks it changes the meta. A lot of us have talked about this ever since it's been spoiled. This comes in the starter deck, I believe, the Broly starter deck maybe. I know it comes in a starter deck. I'm not sure which one. Maybe there's only one starter deck. I am extremely out of touch of what's coming out in set 6, so I'm going to get obliterated. Yeah, this card's absolutely insane. Dahan, why was it your number 1?
It helps reduce the shotgunning in this game, so we can have a different dynamic. Okay, they're at 2. He didn't negate. Hand dump. Maybe I win, maybe I don't win. So it's like that happens a lot in the game, and I'll admit I end up finishing most of my games too. But the thing is, like, it just adds a different dynamic of the 2 mana. Instead of Mafuba, all right, you win all of this double strike. Okay, it's single. Let's take 1. But it also acts as like a Shugesh Kid Goku in a way. So people are going to be more focused on swinging with their leaders to try to end the game, but then we just negate the leaders and we kind of go back to that.
Right.
But I mean, just having peel off on a combo, this is going to be better for blue base decks, as like I can go Senzu Bean, Godstrike Beerus, blow you out of the game or such, or it makes people have to play around differently. Makes them go like, all right, here's 2 Champas, I get my card, 2 instances of double strike. You can only take off 1.
Yeah. Right.
So
no, absolutely.
It just adds different dynamics.
That's actually a really sick idea. Actually, I actually didn't even think about it. But you're right, because you can have more than 1 instance of double strike. It's just like it's not like 4, it's only 2. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's actually really true. I'm As on YouTube says, you can't sideboard a super combo. Yeah, you can actually. It's you can only have 4 in your deck, and your sideboard is considered part of your deck, and so you can't sideboard super combos. And he says, hello from France. It's 6 a.m. here. Hello, I'm As, and I hope you're having a good time in France, my friend. I hope it's a good time there. 6 a.m. That's crazy. Probably getting ready to go to work. I mean, that's insane. Mr. Sneezy013 says, Dusty with the comedy tonight, loving it. Oh, thank you. I mean, you guys know I was a comedian. Absolutely. Not a comedian. I would lose every...
We've seen how you play.
Yeah. You're right. Topping every event. That's weird. David, what's up? What do you think about Beerus, my friend?
No, you guys basically hit the nail on the coffin. This is the closest we're going to get to a meta-defining card, because just the existence of the card makes people have to approach the game differently, which is, like, people could say that it's a bad thing, but I think it's an amazing thing, because, like, having to play around more cards is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, adds depth.
Yeah, it adds depth to the game. But
ooh, I know that's true.
Like you were saying, you can't shotgun anymore. It's a liability. A lot of these strategies, like that go in on a big boss monster that's like triple strike, it makes it harder. It slows down the game a little bit, which is I think what people want, because people are saying, turn 5 the game's over, blah blah blah. But I think it'll slow down the meta a little bit in a sense that people have to be more cautious. But it just adds such a layer into the depth of the game that is just amazing, and it's crazy that just one card could do that.
Absolutely. Tim Floyd on Facebook, my boy from Locals, says Beerus covering Dusty's face. It's an improvement. All right, you know what? That's got messed up. All right, that's cool. How'd your round 1 work for you last week, Tim? How'd that work out for you, huh? Getting wrecked. So yeah, no, I agree. The thing I like most about Beerus, like you guys said, is obviously it adds depth to the game, and I love that. Obviously, card games are fun to me whenever there's a lot of depth. Now, my favorite thing is trying to figure out what's in your hand and how best to play around it. And I think this is a great card that does that, right? Like, if I can be penalized by just dumping my whole hand before I try to kill you with mirror or whatever. And I think that's great. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful inclusion to the game. One thing that I will say about this card that does worry me a little bit though. And that is, I'm a little worried at the cost. I think 2 energy is a lot. It's a lot for the cost. I think that if there's any effect that's worth 2 on a combo effect, because you compare this to TN, for example, I think this is the right track, right? I think they realized how powerful this card was. They gave a good restriction to it. It is 2 colorless, so you can pay anything for it. But it does worry me, right? I think there's times. I would almost like to see this card be a little bit more aggressive because I hate the current meta of. I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. I don't hate the meta. I hate battering. Like I hate it's just like attack you. It's like that's okay, buddy. I have 15 negates in hand. Get wrecked. Battering, you're dead. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of the meta right now at my locals, at least. Is just I play this big like bad guy and he's going to kill you. Like Hulk smash. And if you try to counter, it's just going to be a battering. So get wrecked. And I think this card obviously is really good against those things, and that's why it has me so excited.
Yeah, it does a better job than peel off.
Yes,
yeah, that's mainly all I'm seeing for it. The 2 mana. Yeah, it's a lot to combo with. That's why I think it'll be predominantly more in a either blue splash or blue lace deck that could just go Sense Being, untap Beerus. I don't think any of the like heavy yellow or aggressive decks really need to play them. But anybody playing a mid-range or control, you can play like 1 in the main board, 1 in the sideboard. You can play 2. I don't think I would ever go more than 2, or I don't even think I would just play 1, just in case.
Yeah. it goes into that like dynamic sideboarding. Like if you have at least 1 copy in your 65, it forces your opponent to play around it.
Yep, absolutely. Nope.
And if they just go for it, they're putting themselves at the risk of being blown out. So.
Yeah, another thing I love about this card too is it's green, right? And I think that's actually really important. I love these little combo cards that are green because if you don't need them, you can just charge them, and then it turns on King Vegeta's surprise attack. And so it allows you to even start feigning, put a couple of those in your sideboard, and like you just said, now more dynamic sideboarding, right? It's like. Oh crap, he just charged Beerus. Like, does that mean he has a King Vegeta in hand? Like, am I going to get blown out with this Deadly Defender or this Vegeta that's on board? You know what I mean? So I just love that. I love when they give these utility cards green because it gives me more fodder to splash King Vegeta Surprise Deck, which is one of my favorite cards. Okay, so David, we're going to move on to your number 1. Here we go. I actually thought it was Bobbity at first, but actually you switched it, you sneaky devil.
Yeah.
Here we go. But Symbol of Hope. And by the way, this guy is like buff. Looks like one of the Hill Twins coming in. Like, what is happening? 3 cost, 1 green, 15k. When you play our combo with this card, if your leader card is green, Shenron card. Like, what is this card? Choose up to 3 Dragon Ball cards from your deck. Place them in your drop area. Then shuffle your deck. I'm sorry, I'm reading like a first grader. I'm just like trying to read it through the overlay. Then shuffle your deck. If you place cards in your drop area, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost 1 and KO it. 15,000 attack. Got some explaining to do over here, Fujimura. What do you think, buddy?
So I've been like desperately trying to make green Shenron a thing, and I love that this, like, a lot of people were talking bad about the new power boosters, but I really like the fact that Bandai is at least trying to make them somewhat playable. And I got a spicy play list, and this guy makes that list possible. Otherwise, that deck is just way too slow.
This 3-drop does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it just makes Awakening so without this card, it makes Awakening way too hard.
Right.
You know, you just get one ball a turn. It's not like Shenron. It's not like Dende or Super Shenron, where they get 2 a turn, and it's like it just makes this makes the leader viable in a sense. So.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sneezy013 says, to make sure I understand, if you combo with a Champa on a card that has double strike already, Garage Strike cannot take away both double strikes.
I already answered it for it.
Yes, and Dehan.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh, okay. Then, yes, I will give you that information, not Dehan. So, yes, you are correct. Give me all the credit for answering that. Can you only take away one instance of double strike? Yes. Okay, that would just answer that again. Okay. Can't wait to test this with in Chilai in Limo Leader. Yeah, that's definitely... And that awakens into like a Broly, right?
No, it awakens into Chilai.
Oh, okay.
That's a Dragon Ball leader?
Yeah, it's Chilai Limo.
That's this one. Gosh, didn't you guys look at the new cards?
I only looked at the good ones.
Shut up, David!
No, it was awful, and then I saw this card, I was like, yay, it might be playable. So.
I mean, all of the power boosters for the new one just made it to where all of the Dragon Ball leaders could be potentially viable with how slow they were.
Right.
Yeah. Problem is that they're still not on the same power level as like Shenron or Super Shenron or anything like that.
Yeah.
The only one I personally like is just the Black Mass Saiyan one, because I have like a playset of the Devastator SPR. I just love that card.
That card is awesome. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love that thing. Like, I'll talk a little bit about it because after set 6, I'm gonna I talked a little bit about it on stream, but I built a cube about a month ago, David, 2 months ago, and I've been testing the cube. I tested a little bit of PPG when I was there after the event in Georgia. We're gonna test some in Orlando as well, so if you guys are around and want to play, let me know. But I have the Devastator in the cube, and I love trying to get that card and just build a Saiyan deck around it because it's just so much fun. That card is just extremely fun. I love the design of the card.
How many black leaders do you have in there?
There's not too many. I think there's 5 or 6. But the way we do it is that we do essentially everybody gets 2 leaders to start the draft, and then after the second pack of draft, we do a draft. We do a leader draft. And so, you do it you essentially make booster packs out of just leaders, and then you just do a quick draft with that. It's fun. I mean, we're still testing, still trying to figure it out. But other than that, everything, whatever the card says it does, none of the erratas apply either. The only errata that applies is that super combos are super combos or whatever from set 1. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time playing it, and that Devastator card is just so much fun. Trying to get 15 Saiyans in there is really fun. Plus, there's just so many good cards that are Saiyans that it's just it's very possible to happen. So cool. All right, so Dayon, anything to say about Oob here? Eon or Eric Hill of Symbol of Hope?
Nope. I'm not going to be playing with any of those Shenron leaders. I'll leave that to David's expertise. I'm gonna just play with Bojack and other hand discard decks of the variation of such.
Cool. Alrighty. Okay. Guys, if you have any questions, let us know. It's 12:05. I want to get out of here by 12:15. So I'll stay here for another 10 minutes. I'll read a couple comments that's here. Also, guys, thank you all for everybody who's watching on Facebook in particular. I know I ignored you guys for the first hour and 30 minutes of the stream, but I don't know why I didn't think about just looking on my phone. So I'll start doing that for the next streams coming up. I'll just always keep my phone up so I can still answer your guys' questions. Thank you again. A special thanks for Tim Floyd for stopping by. Like I said, one of my locals, just a great guy. Thank you so much for stopping by. Also, Tommy Browers, thank you for watching. I didn't see you pop in there until right now. Chris Ing, are you streaming any on Friday, Dusty, for the Gunslinger event in Orlando? I think we're going to try to. I'm actually going to Miami on Monday to start preparing for the event because we're really trying out a bunch of stuff. Chris Ing on Facebook. So I actually probably be streaming throughout next week. I think we might try to stream a cube draft just for fun. Speaking of cubes, that's going to be really neat. And I think we might try to do some other stuff, just testing some of the equipment and stuff because we're going to get some new equipment and stuff in. So I'll be streaming pretty frequently next week and for the event. And then after that, I'm going to Gamma in Vegas for a week with George, and then after that I'll be back to like a regular content creation schedule because I won't have like any more crazy stuff to prepare for. But more information on that, again, not about me. This is about these two guys up here, so they are what matter right now. Team Beerus Fish says at KitchenTableMeta, so I packed an SPR SS4 Flash, and now I want to make a deck based around it. So question to all three of you, what do you guys think of GT Broly? Good matchups, bad matchups? I think that's what he said is like triple flash. I think he's talking about triple flash Broly. Guys, what do you think about that guy?
You want to go first, David?
Yeah, pretty good in the team format. Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, cool. That's actually neat.
Outside of the team format, hope they don't draw the Cronoa.
Yeah, that deck pulls the Cronoa.
That's actually,
or its explosion does.
We have a question. I'm gonna look at the card again because I'm gonna pop Beerus up on my face again. Is it till the end of the turn? It is one of your.
Yeah, you can actually remove cards with barrier, and then like say I have a 3-drop Jinimbo on board, right, and you have Gogeta 7. I can go get a Demon Sword, Swing Leader, combo God Strike, take off the barrier, and then warp it.
Right. Also, what the question was is, can you take blocker away? But you can, right? So you could actually attack, combo this card, take away blocker, and then that way they can't blocker you for your next attack or whatever. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, because it's until the end of the turn. Okay, yeah, sick. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Whoever asked the question.
This card's actually just low-key flexible. It can
absolutely
offer so much. Need foils.
Definitely. Actually, to answer your question, by the way, I actually almost lost to a Broly GT at locals last week. Actually, was my closest game. He played out the little 3-drop that goes to 5. I cold blasted it, so he couldn't evolve, and he bad ringed my cold blast, which tapped me out. And then he went to triple flash, and he attacked. I got lucky and comboed over the first attack, and then the rest of his cards in his hand were just like extra cards, and he couldn't go over 30 for his second attack, so I actually could stop both attacks. But it was really, really close. It was pretty terrifying. I mean, like I said, it's just the format, right? It's like those big dudes that hit you really hard. Like any of them are really good right now. I mean, they're very playable. Some are better than others, obviously, but you know, if you have triple flash and that's something you want to play, absolutely give it a try. I mean, it's good. If you can attack twice with them, that's very good. Attacking twice with a triple striker is insane. I have a theory that dual attack's the best keyword in the game, and so Broly giving every card in the game dual attack is insane. So yeah, it's just really, really good. One thing to remember though is the card is errated. My opponent didn't know that. It never came up during our game, but it is errated. It only works, the counterpart only works with a red Saiyan leader. It's not everything. If that's the case, Shinron would be even more terrifying. Okay, what do you guys think the Toa leader will be? I'm hoping it's based around stealing opponents' battle cards. Thoughts?
I think that'd be sweet. Goes along well with the rest of her whole theory. The problem is it's kind of slow. I mean, everybody gets a turn to swing at you first before you get to steal it. Or it's like Magic. All right, you played a guy? Okay, cool, I get to steal it before it does anything to me.
Right. That's true. David, any thoughts on what the Toa leader will do?
I just hope it's sweet, because I want to play some black leaders. That's all I know.
That's what we have Kid Goku for. You and me get to play that around.
Need more.
That's fair. I need more things to play Devastator.
Exactly. Black I feel is like the worst represented color right now outside of Shinron. And I just really have an affinity for black leaders for some reason. I just want them to be good so I can play them.
The best one right now is just Shenron. The second best one that you can play is Announcer.
Yeah.
And that deck gets outpaced by everything in the format.
Well, that's a good example of what I'm talking about, right? Like, Announcer's a sweet deck, but there's no support for it. Like, why don't they bring a little, like, just a little World Tournament support every set? Just a little bit. You know, here you go. Here's a little World Martial Arts, guys. There you go, Announcer. You know, have a chance to be different. And it's like, no, he doesn't get anything. So he's just like, 5 sets behind or whatever. And he's just sitting there like, cool, dude. Old Dusty O'Brien deck, just sitting there not being able to commentate. He's just getting obliterated. Can't play. Dayhan.
Hey, man.
All right, guys.
Hey, man.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let both these guys do their closing arguments. Apparently, we're at a trial. Dehan, go ahead and please shout out G Sports. Let everybody know about your sponsors, about your teammates. Definitely shout them out. Amazing group of guys. I love these guys every time I see them at these events. They're just so cool.
Catch us out. Sorry. Just catch us out. G Sports Entertainment. You'll see us definitely in Orlando. We're ad numbers. It's me, Daniel. Unfortunately, Thomas Libman can't show up due to his job, saying he can't for that weekend. It's gonna be me, Daniel, and actually you were talking about Chris Sang. He's also on the team too.
Oh,
he's
cool.
He's one of my buddies that we play test a lot with. And shout out to Elmo and our co-sponsors at Jacksonville Game Center. You'll definitely be seeing us, and just come. Feel free to talk to us and play some cards with us, man. We don't bite. At least I don't. Chris might.
Thomas is the biter, first of all, so he's not going to be there, so it's fine.
Man, he's the lover of the group.
I love Thomas, man.
I love you to death.
Yeah, he's literally my favorite one of you guys. I'm not really that fond of you, but I love Thomas.
Oh, see, yeah, look at that.
He's so cool. All right, David, give your shout out, buddy. Talk about your stupid West Coast.
Stupid West Coast, right? Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Shout outs to the West Coast, Best Coast. Everyone in Sacramento, my locals. You guys are awesome. TableMeta teammates, especially Anthony Myclef. You guys are an awesome team to represent with. And shout outs to our sponsor, Ultimate Guard, best sleeves.
Those katana sleeves, though. Oh my gosh!
Get your hands on them. I heard they're doing a restock mid next month, so look out. Get your hands on them because they're already out of sale and they're selling for $20 a piece.
I know, dude. It's actually nuts. I need more. at the Pro Play Tour, they had this shelf they set up. It's like this plastic shelf. They're like, and they build it, and the second layer was just full of katana sleeves. After round 2, there was 2 boxes left. And I was just like, holy crap, they just boom, they went out. So we actually might do a giveaway or something since I didn't realize they're that limited. So we, obviously Ultimate Guard sent us a bunch of. I have 2 here, I got a bunch over here. So these actually are David's. I'm gonna give him these in Orlando. So yeah, I mean we'll definitely have to do something, maybe do a giveaway or something for everyone. So make sure you get your hands on the katana sleeves. They are absolutely amazing. My only complaint with them. Now, I'm curious if you guys have this. I'm going to talk about it in my review. And these is kind of a bad. This set, this box in particular, is a bad representation. But this is supposed to be the color that's inside. And I noticed that, especially for the orange ones, this looks orange, but it's yellow. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so what you do, even if you look on the side there, it'll tell you, and you guys probably can't tell because of the light. But you can also, what I found was better was to look at the bottom, and there's a barcode there, and it actually tells you the color there a lot better. So. That's a little pro tip for you guys, but that's the only complaint I have, which has nothing to do with the sleeves at all. It's just the packaging. So
yeah, read the packaging before you buy them at your locals, because it's that was pretty bad. It's marketing 101. Don't put an orange sticker on yellow sleeves or something stupid like that. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That sounds like a marketing thing, David. Yeah. That's they teach you that first year of business school, I bet. But I'll tell you that my buddy actually bought a pair. He got the transparent, it was white, and he thought it was white, and then I was telling him the same thing I told you guys. I was like, oh, it's crazy, because of the thing. And he looked at the bottom, and they were actually transparent. And he was like, oh, I don't want transparent, so he had to get white ones or whatever. So yeah, I mean they are a little weird, but it's whatever.
Yeah, you have to be careful with the white ones. We got white ones for our team. They look like this, and I also bought clear ones, for Japanese. No, I use them for Vanguard and such as dual sleeves and such. They just slide perfectly over, and I still get to use katana sleeves when I play with Japanese size.
Oh, that's actually really sick. Okay, yeah. Actually, another thing, I actually started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit. I picked up the Speed Duel or whatever, the new Speed Duel thing. And I by the way, I hate it. I'm gonna tell you guys that right now. I can't explain how much I hate it. But I guess maybe the next set's supposed to be might make it better or whatever. But it's the weirdest game ever. But what I thought would be weird is playing with the card size, because they're tiny little cards.
Yeah,
And it didn't feel that bad. It actually felt pretty, like they felt pretty normal. So I don't know if it's because I have tiny hands, they just fit good or whatever it is, but it's actually.
I mean, it's not that much different.
Is it not?
It's like in comparison to this, it's not that bad.
Oh,
you can still flick them just fine. Well, at least that's my complaint.
So does Vanguard use Yu-Gi-Oh size cards too?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Road and Bandai used the small ones on these games.
Oh, I had no idea about that. That's crazy. Oh, you can bring her in. I'll show the stream little Nova. Oh, little Nova. Look how cute she is. She's so tiny.
Finally, we got some cuteness on that damn Dusty cam.
Yeah, I know, guys. I'm sorry. Look how adorable she is with her little face.
Oh my god.
Finally see her now.
Look, she's already a better commentator than David, and she hasn't said a word.
Awesome.
David's like, thanks for the support, my man.
Well,
that teammate support.
I'm commentating not quick.
Definitely. All right, guys, it is past 12:15. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. Real quick shout out from my side of things. Thank you guys again so much for supporting me. But more importantly, guys, support Pro Play Games. I cannot tell you guys that enough. Support George and his team for putting together the Pro Play Tour and more importantly, the Celebrations event coming in just a couple weeks. Go check it out at Orlando. You can go to Pro Play, our PPG event management / Celebrations to register and get into those celebration events. Also, guys, don't forget the next month after that, I believe that month is called April, there is going to be an event in Texas, so definitely go check them out, guys. Thank you guys for continuing to message me, continue to ask me where I'm at. I'm sorry, I will be back, though, like I said, after Gamma with consistent quality content. We've been talking with David and Danny. We have some really exciting things planned for you guys in the future. We'll be starting to announce our teams starting this week with the North team, and then we'll also be announcing KTM West either end of this week or beginning of next week. So don't worry, guys. We're still here. We're still doing stuff. I took a little bit of a hiatus to make sure we have an amazing celebration events, because that's really important to me, because we're having those celebration events because of you. If it wasn't for you guys supporting this game, we would never be where we're at right now. And like David said, in my opinion, we have the best card game community, period. No discussion. You guys are amazing, and I've been part of quite a bit of them. So thank you guys so much for your love and support. Don't worry, guys. We'll be back here pretty soon in a couple weeks. But as is customary on these, always let these two nerds say goodbye at the end. So I'm going to count to 3. Let them say goodbye. Also, G Sports Entertainment in chat says, that dog is awesome. I know, dude. He's so cool. Silent K18 says, whoa, is that a husky? Dusty, April, and Nova for the president. No, it's actually a border collie. That's actually a border collie, so it's just a little border collie pup. But it does look like a husky, actually. They're called blue merles, so they're like a different shade of colors. Like traditionally, border collies are black and white, and she is like black or gray and white and black and a bunch of other colors. So she's a little border collie. She'll grow up. All right, guys, love you very much. David, Dehan, say goodbye, and we'll be out of here. So 3, 2, 1.
Goodbye.